at www.supremepraise.com.
Good evening, our beautiful listeners. And once again, we thank God for bringing us together in His presence again. We give Him the glory and the honor. Today, it's going to be an awesome day because we got a wonderful guest with us this evening on women in ministry. So we welcome you in your own humble abodes as the Lord bring our voices to you. Don't touch the dial, as the topic today, it's going to be an amazing and very, very educational to many people. So it is very good for you to be part of us today and ask questions, post your questions and call in and ask questions. Today, we are here together with my co-host,
Eva Tanoyaboa,
and myself, Audrey. And we have a guest with us today who happens to be a wonderful woman who is Mrs. Rosemary OFASI. And when I say a wonderful woman, I mean a very wonderful woman full of knowledge. She's an excellent teacher, a senior midwife in one of the leading hospitals in London. He's married to Mr. Dixon OFASI, who is also a professional in mental health nurse. They have 3 children together, and what an amazing children those boys are. Mrs. Rosemary OFASI has years of experience as a nurse as well as midwife, has traveled around the world to support good health care for many people. Her specialties include caring for women throughout pregnancy to delivery and after delivery, as well as caring for the newborn. She also has a gift to teach. Everyone that comes her way, she would take the opportunity to teach you something. You will not meet Mrs. Rosemary OFASI and not go without a knowledge. You would definitely have a piece of knowledge to walk away with free of charge. That's the reason why you have to be on your seats today and don't touch the dial. Tap into that knowledge today. She would always, always encourage you to do more and go further in life. A powerful woman of God, beautiful wife, wonderful mother, and awesome midwife. Please, an awesome midwife, I repeat, and that today you would see the level of knowledge that she will give us today concerning our topic today, which is care during antenatal and postnatal. We all understand that the pandemic has created a scare in many women during pregnancy, and some doesn't even have the courage to go for their normal routine appointments. And today, Auntie Rose will highlight some of the consequences and the risk in that, and also after delivery, the kind of things and the care that we all need to be aware of. We're streaming live on Supreme Radio today, Face Channel Radio, Facebook, and also live on YouTube. You are very welcome to join us by sending in your messages, or you can call us on 073 00898 0156. I'll hand over to my co-host, and then Auntie Rose will take over. Stay tuned.
Well, what a blessed afternoon today to listen to this wonderful and experienced woman of God. Please share the page. Share the page wherever you are and invite someone else to listen. You know, young mothers out there and to be mothers. You know, what we are going to talk about today will not be talked about on one board every minute. You know, you need to hear it from the professional's mouth. So please join in and let's learn something together. Praise the Lord. Let's learn something together. So over to you, Mrs. OFASI, over to you. Please speak to us.
Well, thank you very much for that lovely introduction. Well, like the introduction went, my name is Rosemary OFASI, and I've been a midwife I've been a nurse for 5 years, and then a midwife for 25 years. I'm in my 26th year. And I was initially trained in Ghana and worked in Ghana for some time, for about, I think, 15 years before I came here in the UK. And then, established myself again as a midwife, joined the trust, Imperial College Trust. It has been a wonderful journey for me. And I must say that women's health is one of my passion, and midwifery is my passion. Taking care of women and babies is my passion, especially the babies. So today what we're going to talk about pregnancy. But before we can talk about pregnancy, we need to talk about pre-pregnancy. And when I say pre-pregnancy, before you get pregnant, what do we do? Most of the times, pregnancy comes unknowingly. Some plan, some are not planned, some are unplanned, some are, they will say, accidents, but it's all good. It's all a good thing to get pregnant. Now, before you get pregnant, for those who, prepare themselves and then get themselves ready for pregnancy, you need to make sure that look at your diet, exercises, and the things that you think will make the body, get the nourishment and the things that the body need to be able to cope with the pregnancy. Because I tell you, pregnancy is not an easy thing. Although pregnancy is a gift, but it's not an easy task to go through. Some go through it very easily. Some to pass through a lot before the day comes. And so before you get pregnant, you need to make sure that you are on the right path. You're watching your diet, you're watching how you are, carry yourself, what you do, the things that you do, no strenuous work, nothing. Things that will make your body good and make you feel good that you are ready to carry on the pregnancy. Some may go through the doctors, to go through medications and things. You just need to follow whatever advice your doctors will give you to go through your pre-pregnancy. Now, once the pregnancy comes in, the first 3 months of pregnancy, it's a very crucial time for every pregnancy, because that is the time we call the developmental stages. And with these developmental stages, anything at all can happen. Anything, any fault, be it hormonal, your diet, exercises, anything at all can happen. And so between the first 3 months, we always say that you need to be careful. Once you realize that you are pregnant, you need to see your doctors. Thank God we have very good medical care in this country. So once you go to your GP and you are pregnant, they refer you. These days, it's very easy to get to your GP and then tell them which hospital you want to go. And then they will refer you to that hospital. In the hospital, once they refer you to the hospital, what we do in our, and it is a national thing, the first 12 weeks, you need to have a scan for them to check whether everything is okay. Baby is lying where baby is supposed to lie, and your hormones are working very well. Yourself, your diet, yourself, you are well medically. They will check all sorts of things, your blood pressures, they will check your blood, they will check your urine, they will check everything to make sure that you are on the right path with the pregnancy. And within this first 12 weeks is the same time they are going to do a scan and then to check whether there is any abnormalities in the baby. Because if there is going to be any abnormality, it starts from the first 3 months. That is where it develops, and then it continues. So the earlier they see what kind of abnormality the baby has got, the better for the doctors and to treat, and for the mother to also have a peace of mind to carry the pregnancy to a successful end. Once you've been able to pass through the first 3 months, your bloods have been okay, they've checked your bloods, your iron levels, they will check your iron levels to make sure that you've got enough hemoglobin that will be able to supply the mother and then supply the baby. Because with the babies, or with the, we don't even call them babies, with the fetus in your tummy, they don't compromise. They take whatever they want to take from you. So it is up to you to make yourself ready for the pregnancy. So your iron levels are checked to make sure that there is no deficiency, iron deficiency in the system. They will check again your blood group to know which blood group you are carrying. Because when it comes to the blood group, we have we have so many types of blood group that have got their rhesuses are not it doesn't correspond with the babies. Maybe mom is a rhesus negative and then baby is a rhesus positive. Then we pick that one. Once we pick that up, there is going to be a treatment for that as the pregnancy goes on. When the mom is a rhesus negative mother, they need to check whether baby is also negative or positive. If the baby is positive, then mom will need what we call anti-D. If the baby is negative, mom doesn't need anything. And this happens between the second trimester. And when is the second trimester? The second trimester is between 13 weeks, from the 13 weeks to I think 32 weeks is the second trimester. So that's when mom would need an anti-D in the second trimester to prevent mom from having any blood issues with the next pregnancy, because that can affect the mother. In the second trimester, it's all about you taking good care of yourself, eating very well, and then baby growing. Because the developmental things have come, baby has laid down the eyes, the ears, the everything. And now in the second trimester, it is now developing. It is now a fetus, where some people will say this is real a baby. Because even when you have a miscarriage after 12 weeks, you see this is a baby. And so once all the rudimental features and the structures has been laid down, between the second trimester, that is when the baby start growing. So you see baby is growing, becoming a fetus, and then the eyes are there, the nose, the neck, the vertebra is coming, the hands, the fingers, the how do you call them, the legs and the toes. You will know the sex of the baby, whether the baby is a boy or a girl. You will know, or within this trimester. At the same time, if there is going to be any developmental problems with the pregnancy with the mother, this is the time that it's being picked up very well. When I say problems, it can be mom has got high blood pressure, or mom has got diabetes, what we call GDM, gestational diabetes, which has just developed because of the pregnancy. And so once this is picked up during the second trimester, we try to deal with it immediately, because if we don't, it can be fatal to both mom and then the baby. So that needs to be dealt with properly. And so your hospital appointments are very frequent, because they want to make sure that they are monitoring your blood pressure, they are monitoring your sugar level to make sure that your sugar levels are no more higher than what it's supposed to be. Because when your blood sugar is higher than what it's supposed to be, you tend to have very, very big babies. We call them macrosomic babies. Very big babies that if by the week 36, if the baby is not delivered, it can be fatal, because the babies are so they will say overweight in tummy, because they are getting more sugar from the mother due to the diabetes. And so babies tend to deliver very quickly before they even get to 40 weeks. If it is blood pressure that you've developed, we have something we call preeclampsia. We don't want you to enter into that preeclampsia. So you are being monitored. Your blood pressure is being monitored. You are given medication to control the blood pressure. Because if the blood pressure is not controlled, one, your baby might not grow very well. So we have something we call a small baby. Even though your pregnancy is mature, the baby is too small for the gestational age. And so they need to monitor the blood pressure and then control it. If they are not able to control the blood pressure, you enter into something we call eclampsia, eclamptic fit, which is also can be very fatal for mom and then both baby. Baby can go into hypoxia, which means baby will not be having enough oxygen in the system. And so once baby is not having enough oxygen in the system, then you know it's going to be a fatal outcome. So they try to monitor and then control the blood pressure as much as possible. If you come to the hospital and you have blood pressure, what they do is that they try to admit and then monitor your blood pressure until they are satisfied that everything is fine before you can go home. Once you pass through the second trimester, then you are in the third trimester. The third trimester, we call it the growing age. That one is the baby is growing. That is when let's come back. When you are in your second trimester, you can feel the baby's kicks, because the baby kicks sometimes start if you've had a baby before, your baby kicks will start. Maybe you might feel the baby kicks within 15 weeks, you will feel the baby kicking. But if you are a first-time mom, sometimes it delays, or sometimes you even feel it, but you don't know what it is. So between the 20 weeks and then 24 weeks, you can really feel the baby's kicks. So by the 36 weeks, you can really, really feel it. And they kick a lot during that period. When you get into the third trimester, which is your last stages of the pregnancy, the movement reduces. It is not as many as you can feel during the second trimester. The reason being is that baby is grown and then occupy the whole uterus. And so the kicks are not that many, but you will still feel the kicks. If you get to that stage and you are not able to feel as many kicks as let's say 10 to 20 kicks in the day, then you need to report to your midwife that you can't feel the baby kicks very well. We will monitor you and then see whether the baby is okay. Heartbeat is there, everything is all right. And then we'll let you go home. Because sometimes the baby can go an hour without moving. It can be normal, but you don't want to take that chance. Once you realize that, I can't feel for almost an hour now, I haven't felt my baby's kick, you can give your midwife a call, or you can call the hospital and then say, I haven't felt my baby kick the whole morning. They will ask you immediately to come to the hospital, and then we will check and make sure that baby is fine. So the last stages of the pregnancy is all about baby growing and then you preparing yourself for delivery. At this stage in time, we have all your hormones becomes imbalanced. The hormones that is making the baby to grow or keeping the pregnancy will start dropping. Once that hormone start dropping, another hormones also kick in. This hormone is what is going to bring on your labor. Now, how do we know that we are in labor? Once you are pregnant, the uterus is closed, and then there is a plaque, a mucus plaque that close the cervix, and then between the cervix and the baby. So that plaque needs to come out. Once that plaque comes out, you know that you are almost getting ready to deliver. Some people, labor will take 3 days. Today you will feel the pain, tomorrow you don't feel it. Next minute you feel it, you don't feel it. So everybody is different. Some labor comes on immediately, what we call the precipitate labor. The first 2 contractions that you feel, baby is coming. We call it precipitate labor. And some too will go through the normal labor, which sometimes take about 3 days before you even get to proper and an active labor. And when we say active labor, you are having irregular contractions and you are having relaxations in between them. Once you get to that stage and you call your midwife, listen, I'm having contractions, maybe 3 in 10 or whatever it is, the midwife will invite you to the hospital. They will check you and make sure that everything is fine. And if it is labor, they will keep you in the hospital until you labor and then you deliver your baby. Once the baby is delivered on labor ward, they check the baby, they check mother, make sure both mom and baby are okay, everything is fine, and then they will bring you to the postnatal ward. I call the postnatal ward as the learning of how to be a mother, a motherhood as the postnatal ward, because that is the crucial time for you and your baby. That is when you know who my baby is and the baby know who my mother is. That is where you learn how to feed your baby. That is where you learn how to recognize the cue signs of the baby, that my baby is doing this, maybe baby need that, maybe baby need that. That is where you learn what to do. And so if you are not able to get all these things before you go home, sometimes it can be very, very hard and difficult for you because you haven't learned what it is. You haven't learned how to take care of your babies. Now, babies are very, very, they are very precious. And so when they come out, you see your baby, you are happy. And the baby too, look at your face, is happy. You're breastfeeding your baby, you can see your baby looking at your face, you're looking at your baby, talking to your baby, making sure that your baby can even hear your voice whilst you are breastfeeding your baby. And once you get your breastfeeding support very well and you get it right from the beginning, you will not have problems. But if you don't get it right from the beginning, that is where problems comes in. Baby is not feeding well, mom is very sore, and then at the end of it, the day, mom gives up. So we make sure that you are getting the breastfeeding right before you leave the postnatal ward to go home. For mothers who are babies who are unfortunate, the babies need extra care, extra medication, antibiotics before going home, it's also on the postnatal ward. And that is where I come in. I love that bit. You see all the babies, all the sick babies with tube feeding, babies not feeding well, babies with abnormalities. How are you going to look after them? What of the observations you give to those babies? And mothers need a lot of reassurance when it comes to this time, because you're looking at your baby, poor little baby, a day old, 2 days old, with a cannula in the hand, giving antibiotics every 12 hours. Sometimes it can be heartbreaking. And so the mothers at this point need a lot of reassurance, a lot, and a lot of support so that they will be able to go through that stage of their time and then go home with a happy baby and a happy mother. And at the end of the day, you've got your baby, you are home safe. So in a nutshell, what I would say is that getting pregnant, it's all about being strong and able to take good care of yourself, attending your appointments in time, and making sure that even when you are at home and there is something wrong and you don't understand, you need to call your midwife immediately, because The only thing that you can see is the outside. You can see the outside, but you can't see the inside. So when you report it immediately and quickly, the professionals will be there to support you and then get you through whatever situation it is. And with this COVID period, it has been, a very tough time for mothers. It has been very traumatic for every mother, including staffing and everything on the ward. And so I will encourage every mother that please, 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 when you are pregnant, don't even hide it. Don't say, oh, because there is COVID in the hospital, I don't want to go to hospital. You need to go to hospital for the doctors to make sure that everything is in the right position. Baby is growing very well. You are not developing any condition, any heart problems, anything that will affect you and the baby at the end of the day. And so this is my little advice to all mothers, all pregnant women. All the healthcare professionals in the hospital, the maternity units are always ready to support them in any way that they can. We are your friends. You can call upon us whenever you need us, and we will be ready to support and help you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. OFASI. Awesome. Just to summarize what you said, you talked about the first 3 months of the pregnancy as the developmental stage, where the mother needs to make sure they've been to the hospital, that they've had a doctor's check, to check their blood and stuff like that, to check the rhesus. But most importantly, you said that before pregnancy, the mother has to position themselves so that they are in good health to receive the baby. This is a good point, because I don't think we normally go through that process of, thinking how well have I positioned myself to support this baby, And so I think that was quite spectacular to say that, good nourishment and good health that will support you throughout the pregnancy, not just at the conception, but throughout the pregnancy. That's very good. Dear listeners, we hope you're being blessed. I have a question here, please. What about mothers who refuse hospital appointments, and refuse to be seen by the doctor, who don't get any care during the pregnancy? What risks are likely to affect them?
Okay. In fact, those mothers are in a very, very high risk mothers. But the question we must ask ourselves is that, why is the mother not coming forward to go to hospital? Because most of the times, these mothers who don't go to hospital, either they have problems. Some can be mental health, some can be social issues, some can be, language barrier. It's a whole lot of package with these mothers. And so it is up to we, the health care professionals, to be able to get to these women and then make sure that you've given them all the information that they needed to come to the hospital. And if there is any support, they will be getting that support to be able to come to the hospital. Because one thing I have realized is that most of these women are afraid to come to the hospital because, one, they think if they come to the hospital and they deliver, their baby will be taken away from them. Number two, they don't have anywhere to stay. And so a housing also become a problem for them. Number three, either it could be alcohol abuse or drug abuse, and that is also another problem that keep these women away. Or language barrier, they cannot understand the language, or they are in some kind of abuse in the house that needs to be looked into to make sure that there is no abuse. They are okay. Nobody is preventing them from coming to the hospital, because sometimes these men who are abusive prevent these women from going to hospital because they don't want them to disclose whatever is happening in the house. So they stay in the house, keep them until that maybe, let's say, 2-3 months to the time that they are going to have their baby before they will show up. Such women, once they show up at that time, we have to do all the blood tests. We have to do everything that we can to make sure that the baby is okay, mom is okay before she delivers. And so it is up to we the healthcare professional to find out the reason behind those mothers or women who refuse to come to hospital, and then that can be dealt with.
Awesome. Dear listener, you're listening to Women in Ministry, and today we are looking at postnatal and antenatal care with Mrs. Rosemary OFASI, who is a senior midwife in one of London's prestigious hospitals. She is an experienced woman. If you've been listening, you know that she knows her stuff. Mrs. OFASI, back to the topic.
Yeah.
I want to ask about postnatal depression.
Yeah.
In some of our ethnic communities, we don't really think it exists.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about it?
I know it is very, very difficult. It is a very difficult situation when it comes to what we call postnatal, in fact, depression itself, because the person who is depressed need to accept that he or she is depressed. But sometimes I will be walking here, I am depressed, but nobody knows that I'm depressed. It is not something that you can see, physically, that this person is depressed. But when it gets to certain stages, you will know that this is a depressed woman who is also at the same time pregnancy, because pregnancy itself can make you depressed, especially the first 3 months when your hormones are just all over the place. You can get depressed within this period. And so in our hospital, we have what we call the perinatal mental health care that we give to women that are pregnant and then shows up as depressed, or they've been depressed already and then they've got pregnant. And then this is where information sharing comes in. So before your GP refer you to the hospital, we already know that you have had episode of depression. And so we need to deal with that side of the business.
Okay.
Oh, yes, Minister Audrey, go on.
Mrs. OFASI,
yeah,
in your line of profession, there is so much to do. When we talk about the care for women, it is so broad, not just the personal care, but also mental care, the developmental, emotional care, so many things to do. How can we encourage some of the people, if anyone is listening to us today, and most of the time we call them late bookers, for any reason they've decided not to come to hospital for care during pregnancy. You said something very, very important, that we only see the outside. We don't see the inside.
Yeah.
Things like GDM, you may not know the damage that both maternal and fetus will be going through. The risk is extremely high. These people have reasons, as you said, not to come to hospital. How do we encourage them that they are at risk, and the hospital, the midwife, the team, the MDT team are there for them, not to judge them and not to take their babies from them, for example. What do we say to somebody who is listening and it's in any form of situation that's preventing them coming to the hospital, yet we know this individual and the fetus are at risk? What do we say to these individuals?
Okay. So people like that, before you can even convince them to go to hospital for care, you need to sit down with them. You need to have a good communication. They need to trust you. You need trust. They need to trust you that this woman sitting in from this midwife or nurse sitting in front of me, I trust this woman. So whatever she will say, I will do it. But you need to build that trust. And so if the woman does not have the trust for you, she will still insist not to go to the hospital. But you need to get the woman trust. You need to get their attention. And you need to let the woman know that you are for her. You know what her problem is. You need to dig and know what the problem is, because once you know what the problem is, you will be able to get into that woman. But if you don't know and you don't have the trust for it's very difficult. And you won't say it once, you won't say it twice, but it has to be a continuous, visit to the woman, a continuous, even if you make it every day, or you make it every other day, or once a week, to visit this woman, to gain her trust. And then even if it takes you to come to the hospital with the person, that will be a pat on your shoulders. Because these women, all they need is that somebody that they can trust, somebody that they will be able to talk to, somebody who will understand them. That is the most important thing in these women's life. So you need to make sure that you are building a very good relationship with the person, having a good trust between the two of you, so that the woman will be able to open up to let you know why she is not coming to the hospital. Once you know the why, the how will come. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And once again, we want to remind our listeners that we are live on Facebook. We are on Supreme Praise Radio. We are live on YouTube, Supreme Praise Radio. And we are on Faith Channel Radio and Channel of Mercy. If you want to get in touch, if you want to send a question or a contribution, please leave a message on whatever platform you're listening to, or you can WhatsApp us or text us on 044-730-898-0156. So I'll take the number again, 044-730-898-0156. And today we are looking at postnatal and antenatal care. Mrs. OFASI, I have another question. You mentioned all these conditions that can affect mother and baby during pregnancy. And you said gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, and eclampsia. Are there any particular women who are prone to being at risk, to these kind of conditions?
I must say that there are no respecter. These conditions has no respecter to anybody. But when it comes to gestational diabetes, they tend to say that we, the Black Africans, and then the Asians, we tend to have more diabetes than our Caucasian women.
Brothers.
The reason is that our diet. It all boils down on our diet, what we eat and how we eat it. That is the problem. We tend to have a lot of carbohydrates in our diet, and carbohydrates, as we all know, can be broken down into a very hard sugar and all these things. And sometimes when it comes to diabetes, your insulin production is all high, and all the problems that it comes with it. So it hasn't got, it does not have any particular people that it happens to, but I would say that anybody at all can get gestational diabetes, but it's very rampant in certain categories of women.
So it's mainly due to our nutrition and lifestyle during the pregnancy.
Yes, our nutrition. Yeah. Nutrition. And sometimes too, it can be genetic. It can run in your family. Diabetes can run in your family. It can be genetic. You can develop it, what we call the type 2, type 1 diabetes. You can develop it. And during the pregnancy, once you develop gestational diabetes, if it's not being controlled very well, it becomes a problem for you. Even when you have had the baby, you will still have diabetes, what we call the type 2 diabetes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, Mrs. OFASI, I'm not allowing you to breathe today, am I?
Don't worry, bring it on. I'm ready for you.
Well, I'm really enjoying this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I am learning a lot, and I believe our listeners are too. I believe so. I have another question here.
Yeah.
After the baby,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the, in your experience, what are some of the traditional, cultural things that, you know, you've come across that are not really medical, that, you know, really mothers need to stop doing?
The first thing I would say is bathing for babies twice, 3 times a day. It's a traditional thing. We all know that once the baby is born, you need to bath for the baby. But research has come out to say you don't even need to bath for the baby. The baby can stay for 3 days, 4 days without bathing. It's fine. Once you clean the baby, so far as you clean the baby, you oil the baby, that should be okay. You don't need to, but you will see, Daddy, you know, traditionally back home, you know what we do. You see your mom with gallons and gallons of water, hot water, and what we call douching the girls. You see them douching the girls, they will douche the boy. It's just, it is not.
Yeah, I've even heard of some tribes bathing the baby with palm oil.
Yes, I will tell you something about the palm oil. It is not just palm oil, even Vaseline, any baby oil. You know, when the baby is born, there is this something we call lanungo on the baby. Do you see some sticky white things on the baby? And oil, this palm oil, can remove it very quickly. Once you apply it, everything will go on. But you can use any other thing. You can use Vaseline, you can use oil, any baby oil to remove all those things. Not necessarily using palm oil. Yeah. But it's just mainly using oil, and that will get all that sticky thing off the baby. Yeah.
So a lot more oil than water.
Yes, because even when you use sponge, it doesn't go away. It will not go away unless it takes some time to get rid of those things. And then again, you will see mothers that the cord, you will see them that they have wrapped the cord or putting powder in the cord or anything in the cord. You just leave the cord to dry. That is one thing I've come to learn. You leave the cord to dry and it falls off. You don't need to apply anything, nothing on the cord. There was a day I saw a mother in a room. It's an Asian parent, their mother, and the baby had, they fed the baby. After they fed the baby had hiccups. What do you think they did? The baby having hiccup.
They put a thread on the baby's head.
They just took a thread from their mother's dress and then roll it and put it at the fontanelle.
Yeah.
Which is something traditional that we do. But hiccups in babies, it's just positional. How you position the baby when you are feeding the baby. If you feed the baby and the baby becomes more satisfied and then bend on the tummy, the stomach pushes the diaphragm and then it goes into spasms. That is the hiccups. That is what we call hiccups. And when you leave the baby, it will stop by itself. You don't need to do anything. But traditionally, they will put a thread on the baby's head just to stop the hiccups.
Mrs. OFASI, I've got a question for you, and this is from one of our listeners who is a man, is a husband.
Oh dear.
And he's worried. He's worried about the pandemic and the hospitals, how the hospitals are not accepting men to stay over with their wife.
Yeah.
I mean, every hospital is different, I understand, during delivery and after delivery. And how do we deal with this, that the men, where do we put them and put their mind at rest during, I mean, the brave ones who wants to be at deliveries.
Exactly.
How do we deal with them?
Right. So I would say, thank God that this COVID is coming down. So there are measures that we are putting down now that it's going to put the men at risk. Because to be honest with you, it has been a very tough period for the mothers on the ward without the fathers there to support, without anybody to support them. It has been very tough. But thank God, this is easing. So now we are allowing partners to come to antenatal clinic, to come for all their clinic appointments with their partners and to witness everything. And they go to labor ward with them to witness the delivery. And then on the ward, the only thing we are not doing is that we are not allowing them to sleep in the hospital, but we allow them to come in the morning and then leave by 7 p.m. So just he should rest assured that the pandemic is coming down and measures are being put in place, and very soon things will come back to normal and we'll be seeing their faces again.
Thank you. There is another question from another listener who's asking, how do you overcome or deal with postnatal depression? And the second question in that same question says that, what are the red flags to look out for? Okay.
So dealing with postnatal depression is a very difficult thing to deal with. So that is where you need to get the professionals to, because some depression requires medication. Some also requires talking therapy, what we call the CBT. And so it depends on the level of depression in the woman. Then you can deal with it. If the woman needs medication, we need to put the woman in medication. If the woman doesn't need medication, then we have to talk the woman through. And we have so many organizations that are around in the UK that we can refer the women to, and then they will have what we call the CBT, talking therapy with the women, and then they will be monitoring the women. Now, what are the red flags of these men? It differs from every woman. It differs from every woman. Some women, you will see them not engaging very well with their babies. Some of them doesn't even want to do anything for their babies. Some doesn't want to do anything for themselves. They are not even eating, especially they are not drinking. And you will realize that they keep repeating themselves. Some keep repeating themselves. They say the same thing all over and over. And if it is a question that they want to ask you, they're asking that question over and over. As soon as they see you, they'll ask you, what did you say your name is? You mentioned your name. The next minute you said, oh, I've forgotten what you said. You said, what is your name? Keep repeating that same thing. You need to know that something is not going well. Or you've seen a woman who is not sleeping, tidying up, making sure everything is okay in the room. Something is not right. You need to pick it up quickly and then find out what is happening. And they don't sleep very well. So there are so many signs and symptoms that you will know that a woman is depressed. Somebody will go into bed and will not even want to get out of the bed under the duvet, just looking at the baby. Will not want even to get up. Baby is crying, will not even get up, will not do anything for the baby. So there are so many things that you will know, that you will see and then know that this mother is getting depressed. And once you see those things, you need to get help immediately before it becomes more than what you can take.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. OFASI, sorry, Minister.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What about women who suffer miscarriages? Because obviously, because the baby is not born full term, don't really classify it as a baby. And when women go through miscarriages, they don't really tell.
Yeah.
But I'm sure once they have carried something and lost it, they have to fall under a particular classification and get some help.
Yeah. It's a very tough and a difficult question for me when anybody asks me that question, because having a miscarriage is not easy, because you know you are pregnant, you know you are carrying a baby, and then sometimes it doesn't even go to 12 weeks, it doesn't go to 6 weeks. Those ones, we call them early miscarriages. We have what we call early miscarriages, and we have late miscarriages. Late miscarriages will be after 12 weeks and 24 weeks onwards. They are late miscarriages. Even when you have a baby at 24 weeks, they will try to revive that baby, because it is a law in this country that 24 weeks baby needs to be resuscitated and then keep that baby alive until that baby cannot take it anymore, and then we'll go. So when you have a miscarriages, it can be very hard. And most of the times, these women are being missed in the community, and they go into depression a lot. So in our hospital, we have what we call, now there is a continuity teams. We have what we call the Dove team. So the Dove team are there for these women. They will see you through. They will get the professionals for you. They will get the psychologists. They have the ministers who will come in and then talk to you and make sure that they are taking care of you mentally. The perinatal mental health care are there, and make sure that you are okay, because it can be very tough. It can be very difficult. Why the miscarriages happens, nobody knows, unless there are obvious conditions with the woman that will cause that, then the doctors will be able to treat that. But some of the miscarriages, nobody knows why it happens. And so when it happens like that, the doctors take you under their wings with your next pregnancy, and then they start, treating and making sure that everything goes on well for you.
Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you very much for that.
Mrs. OFASI, we've spoken a lot about the postnatal care for women. What about the babies? Some new moms take babies home and they don't know what to do. They don't know signs of jaundice. They don't know if the baby is underfeeding or overfeeding. They don't have a clue. Where do they get help from? And how do we educate this individual new mothers?
Okay. So normally before they go home, when we are discharging them, we talk to them a little bit about jaundice. And jaundice is simply babies getting yellow. And why they get yellow? Because they have immature livers that are not able to break down their red blood cells. And so it ends up to be jaundice. And it shows on the skin as yellow. So we call them yellow babies or jaundice babies. And this jaundice happens, it normally starts between the 3rd day of life until the 7th day. Day 7 is the peak that you will see a baby, really, really yellow or even orange in color. And then from day 7 onwards, it starts dropping down until it goes away. Now, when you see any baby with jaundice, the first place you will see a baby is jaundice. If you see a jaundice in a baby's eyes, then you know this baby is jaundice. When is yellow, or you've seen that the face is yellow all the way up to the stomach, then this baby needs treatment. If it goes all the way to the foot, then that is baby needs to come to hospital for them to be treated. And that is how jaundice starts. It starts from the face all over to the foot, and then when it's going, it starts from the foot and then it comes to the face. So it's always the face that you see that a baby is jaundice. Now, when these babies are jaundice, all they need is feeding, because you need to flush their system. And in flushing their system, they need fluid to flush the system and then let them pee and wee and poo. That is all the babies need. Sometimes when it's beyond their remit, we need to admit the babies and put them under the phototherapy light. And so when mothers are going home, we advise them on the feeding aspect of the baby. Make sure your baby is feeding very well. If you go home and your baby, you think, oh, my baby is too sleepy and it's not feeding very well, get a professional help, get attention, get the midwives. We give them hospital numbers to call and speak to somebody. My baby is sleepy, has not fed well the whole day. What is going on? Once you tell a midwife that your baby is sleepy, they'll ask you to bring the baby to check whether baby has got jaundice or not, because that is the first sign that you will see that baby is very sleepy and not feeding, and baby is getting jaundice. And so when mothers are going home, you always make sure that if they are bottle feeding, they are feeding the baby every 3 hourly to make sure that baby is getting the right amount. If they are breastfeeding, they are feeding responsively. Anytime baby wants it, they need to feed the baby to make sure that baby is getting the right amount that baby needed.
Thank you very much, Mrs. OFASI. I've got another question from a listener. And again, this one is coming from a man asking that in support after the wife had been discharged home, in what way can they support the wife and the newborn? And also going in a bit deeper, when can they resume bedroom activities? Yes.
Having sex. Okay.
Yes.
Good. So these men, I know in this country, they have what we call paternity leave. They give the men paternity leave to help the ladies and support them in the house. As soon as your wife comes home with the baby, what your wife needs is your reassurance, your support in the house. All the woman wants to do is to sit down. You need to cook for the woman because she is the queen at the house now. So you need to make sure that she is being supported. If the baby is bottle feeding, mom can feed the baby during the day, and then during the night, you, dad, can take over whilst the mom has some sleep in the house. If it is breastfeeding, anytime baby wants it, dad, you can get up, pick the baby, sit with mom, say, baby is due a feed, let's feed the baby. All they want is, all we women want is the man's support in the house. your presence in the house and supporting in everything that is going on. Putting the baby's clothing in the wash, helping the mother in the house, taking time to clean the kitchen, making sure that everything is okay, will go a long way to support the mother in the house with the baby. And then when it comes to sex, right, sometimes it depends on the mothers. Some mothers, their pain threshold is very, very low, and so they cannot take these things. So normally we say after 6 weeks, you can resume, but depending on what your wife can take. Some women will be able to, some will not, especially with those who had cesarean sections. Sometimes it's very difficult for them. With normal vaginal delivery, within the next 2-3 weeks, you are healed. Everything is perfect. But with the cesarean section, remember they have the scar there. The inner scar, it heals after 6 weeks. It takes 6 weeks to heal. But the outside, you will see the outside is healed very well within 7 days. But the inside scar takes 6 weeks. That's why we say at least after 6 weeks, you can resume having sex after delivery.
Thank you very much, Mrs. OFASI. Listeners, once again, what a day and a moment with a wonderful woman of God, Mrs. Rosemary OFASI. The knowledge is unendless. It's amazing to listening to you. It's a wonderful, and I don't know what to say. Eva, today we've learned a lot. Well, I have learned a lot.
Well, I have learned immensely, because now I know that speaking to young mothers, I will be telling them to prepare their bodies before pregnancy. You know, if there are any health conditions that need to be checked before the pregnancy, they need to do that, and not just plan for pregnancy. You know, because the baby needs a healthy body to live in, and that is something that we sometimes overlook. We just hope for the baby without looking at ourselves and checking whether we are in a good position to host that new life in our body. So I have learned a lot, and Mrs. OFASI, I just want to thank on behalf of Women in Ministry for your time. We know you are a very busy woman, but thank you so much for taking time to speak to Women in Ministry and all the young mothers out there on how to support themselves during pregnancy. We know that women are called to change this world, you know, and if you're listening to us, you should see yourself as a Deborah, you know, a Deborah who takes her rightful place in every position, in your family, in your career, in everything you do, you know, so that you can take dominion that God has given you. So thank you once again, Mrs. OFASI. Thank you so much. Dear listener, please share this page, share with someone, and pass it on to someone. This is a must listen to. You know, you need to listen to this. You need to learn something for yourself and for the beautiful life that you're about to carry, or you have already carried, so you know how to support yourself. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you think things are being too much for you, please get help. Okay, get help. And husbands, please support your wives. If she is complaining, if you think she's being irritated quickly, get help. Don't think she's making it up. You know, get help and get her support, and get help from a professional, not any older woman that you think, because that older woman is not a doctor, she's not a midwife, she may not know. So please get help from a professional. Mrs. OFASI, thank you once again. Dear listener, we've got another broadcast. Our next live broadcast is on Sunday, 2nd May. Make a date with us. Look out for our flyers on the Supreme Praise platform, on Facebook, on Women in Ministry, and we will share it out. We will be looking at sex in pregnancy. Woohoo, awesome. Yes, we'll be looking at sex in pregnancy. So yes, make a date, and we believe you'll be blessed. This year has been a difficult year, but we are winning. Okay, yeah. So God is with us. We are winning, and we're going to make progress in our parenting, in our homes. We're going to make progress in Jesus' name. So, so we come your way again, Minister Audrey. Any final words?
Mrs. OFASI, thank you so much for your time and also the privilege to tap into your knowledge, and also to our wider audience. We cannot thank you enough out of your busy schedule to have this time with us. It is so precious to us, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much on behalf of Women in Ministry, Supreme Praise Radio, Faith Channel Radio, Facebook and YouTube, and everyone that is listening to us. We thank you so much for staying tuned to tap into this knowledge of education coming from a senior midwife, Mrs. Rosemary OFASI. We don't take it for granted. We thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you.
Have a good evening then, dear listeners, and we'll see you again on the 2nd of May. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, if you had missed this broadcast in any way, we do rebroadcast, and it will be the same time next week, Saturday. Yes, 5 p.m. So you can listen into this again, as it is so important. So the Lord bless you until we come your way again. This is Women in Ministry. The Lord bless you and have a wonderful week. Thank you.
Supreme Praise Radio, your cosmopolitan Christian radio station. Supreme Praise Radio, your cosmopolitan Christian radio station.